Opinionated Idiot.
What's going on, everybody? Who is this masked man? Who is this person that's on this channel right now? Yes, we are back. We are back live with another edition of the Opinionated Idiot live show. And I want to welcome everybody in here. Welcome to the show. Some things have changed. A lot of things have changed, but we're doing part 7 of looking back here tonight. And this is kind of a recap and a refresh to kind of get us built up to where we are to the present time in the Bryan Kohberger Idaho 4 case. We got a lot to go through this evening, a lot to go through. I have to say, my Discord chat is some of the most amazing people. My paid members to this channel are some of the most amazing people that I have come across. So I want to thank all of you for being in my membership group. And if you are not in the Discord chat, you are absolutely missing out. And the way to join that is go down and hit the join button below. My membership started $1.99, and that will get you into the Discord chat. And you are completely missing out. There is so much backroom information about this case going on. And I urge everybody to get in there, join the team, come hang out with us. And I'm forming some very personal relationships with people in there. We're doing a lot of incredible sleuthing and really trying to find the truth into where everything lies within this case. As I've stated from the beginning of all of this, the evidence is there. It's just going to have to go through and sort through the facts, the dates, the timelines. I think we're coming to some conclusions. We're working on a lot of things behind the scenes, and we're going to just, put it up there and put it on a tack board. And hopefully when this, gets out to trial. And look, you have to think of this too. This may take a year or 2 years to actually go to trial. So don't think that this is just going to happen tomorrow. You have to be set up for the long haul here. This could take a while to get to trial. If it gets to trial, they may get through this preliminary hearing, or maybe it goes out to skips the preliminary hearing and there's just a delay and setback in case. But we're going to talk more about this. But what I'm going to do here is recognize the chat first, like we always do at the beginning of the show. And then I have some breaking news. I'm going to have a guest on this evening as well. And then we're going to do a wrap up towards the end of the show as to where we are in the current timeline of Bryan Kohberger right now. So let me go up right now and look at the chat and recognize who is here. We'll try to get everybody. So Victorine is here. She's usually always the first person in the chat. I wanted to thank her for saying, hey there, how are you? Mama Styles is here as well. I have Shani in the house. Pretty stoked for another live. Thank you so much. Devil Doll 666 is here saying hello, people. Mitchell is here as well. I have AZ in the chat. What's up, dude? How are you? Diana's here. What's going on? Rose is here. She said I made it on time for once. Awesome. I got kind of a generic name here. YouTuber 366 says, hey, what's up? What's up? Firefly is here as well. Unravel in the house. Thanks for joining. I have Robert here. This is good evening, everyone. That's a first. I don't think I've seen Robert in the chat before. It's the first time. First time, maybe. Jennifer's here as well. I haven't seen Jennifer, but hello, welcome to the channel. Let's see. Mitchell is here. If I didn't get Mitchell, he says yes, sir. Oh, snap, it's Sharon. She's here. Darla, I'll get this out. Darla is here as well. She said very weird music choice. Yeah, we always like to get some classical music in there and then kind of ramp everybody up with the rave music, the intro music, and that's what we love. JD, it looks like a brand new name in the chat as well. Chosen Rosen's here. Good to see him. He's in the members chat. He's in our Discord group. A lot of great people over there. We keep it very adult. There's no drama in there, and we have fun in there as well too. Niji Mac is here, and I believe Niji Mac watches from Japan live. That's awesome. We are reaching global beyond the United States. We're reaching the globe. We're reaching people across the globe, which is awesome. Karen T is here. She says the beard. Yes, the beard is gone. Listen, it grows fast. I needed time for change. I just felt like I'm starting to look like every other true crime YouTuber right now. And I needed to just take this off. I needed to shed some skin, bring in some good vibes, and just change my my appearance a little bit. Firefly says nice hat. Thank you so much. And I'm going to try to get to the rest of these really quick. Arya's here. Good to see you. She joins us from London, which is awesome. She's across the pond, which is really cool. Vet Girl is here. Hello, Brian, everyone. Love your new look. Thank you so much. Let's see. Canadian Cat Lady is here. Nomad Life is here as well. MJC says, I can't see where this would not go to trial. I would be beyond shocked. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Manny Joe says, I'm tardy. It's good to see you. Brian on the go is here as well. Good to see you as well. Susie's here. Nomad Life says, new profile pic of my 3 pups. Oh, that's awesome. Really love it. A lot of pet lovers in here. Mel is here. She said, caught alive. Thank you. Stevie Irwin is here. Why does Brian look different? I love your avatar, by the way. That's awesome. Let's see. I think I got everybody so far. Yeah, I got everybody. Yes, Friday morning here. Yes, go Brian-san. Thank you so much. Oh, we have Dina here. Dina is here. She says she's late. I love your avatar. That's really cool. Really cool stuff. So I've got everybody in the chat. We'll hang out. The chat will build. And so what I want to start with first is I have a little bit of some breaking news, some really breaking news. So let's do this. Let's pull this up. There is a death investigation underway in Stroudsburg. And let's read this really quick. And, we know that in this case, in this area in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, there has been a person of interest that is missing. Her name is Dana Smithers, and she's been missing since 5/28/23. So I want to kind of look at Idaho, Bryan Kohberger, and I'm not saying that this is all related, but it is definitely something that we should keep our eye on. So let's say this. Smithers goes missing 5/28/23. Bryan Kohberger moves out to Pullman by the end of June of 2023. On 4/27/23, that is today, today, there's a body found in Monroe County, and that is 45 minutes away from Bryan Kohberger's parents' house, in and around where Dana Smithers went missing. And like I said, I'm not saying that this is related to Idaho, but it is something definitely that we need to keep our eyes on. So I'm going to read through the article here really quick. And it says, Stroud Area Regional Police, the State Police Forensic Unit, and Monroe County Coroner's Office are investigating. And I'm going to play that clip in a second. Just give me a second here. I want to just bring up a bigger window here. There we go. Yeah, we'll do this one. Actually, it's a little too small to read. All right, let's go here. So it says Stroudsburg's PA, police respond to a wooded area along Park Avenue after a body was found. It's next next to an on-ramp in the intersection of 80 eastbound. Stroudsburg Area Regional Police, the State Police Forensic Unit, and Monroe County Coroner's Office are investigating. The Stroudsburg Fire Department is also assisting. Local police were seen carrying a variety of equipment down this embankment. Newswatch 16 has been in touch with the chief of police in Strauss Area Regional. She says it's too early to share any information at this time. Developing story, and it says check back for updates. Let's play this quick little video once I get past this advertisement here. Hang on one second.
Omelet maker.
Maker. Try to reload this. Here we go.
Embrace the future at your fingertips and witness the marvels of quantum levitation.
This one I cannot control.
Police spent most of the afternoon in a wooded area of the Poconos. The gruesome discovery and what we know so far, our top story on Newswatch 16 at 5. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Stacey Lang. Lisa Washington is off. A death investigation is underway right now in the Poconos. Newswatch 16's Amanda Eustace is live in Stroudsburg with what we know so far. Amanda.
Stacey, police responded to this wooded area you see right behind me along the 100th block of Park Avenue here in Stroudsburg after a body was discovered. Now, just to give you some perspective, we are next to the on-ramp for Interstate 80 eastbound. Now, Stroud Area Regional Police, the State Police Forensic Unit, and the Monroe County Coroner's Office are investigating. The Stroudsburg Fire Department is also here assisting. We saw local police carrying a variety of equipment down this embankment. Now, again, we have been in touch with the chief of police for Stroud Area Regional. As of right now, she says it is still too early to give us any information, but as soon as it does become available, we'll be sure to bring it to you on air and online at WNEP.com. For now, Amanda Eustace, Newswatch 16, live in Stroudsburg.
All right, so we have that article there. I want to just bring up some news, and like I said, it's not, it's not, I would say, fully related. I'm not going to connect all those dots quite yet, but it is something of interest that we should keep track of. And it looks like, hang on one second, I want to take a look at how close. Let me see if I can bring this up. I gotta just save something here. And then I'm gonna bring up something else as well. So again, this is my opinion. I'm not inserting this in any type of case. These are just alleged allegations. And allegedly, let me just try to bring this up real quick. I have a map that one of my sleuthers brought up here. So you have, I'm trying to get this right. Let me go back to this chat. Okay, so this map here is, you know what? I don't even know if I want to show that because it does have an address on it. So I'm gonna refrain from that. But to where the body was found, it's about 13 minutes away from where Dana Smithers disappeared. So it's about a 13-minute. And then if you just look into the relevance of, let's just say, someone's parents' home to where this body was found, it's a 31-minute drive. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there to scratch. Yep, and look at this. Keep Crystal was right on it. I just said it as I said it. Yeah, but I'm gonna just say parents' house, 30 minutes from that case. Absolutely, you were on it. You were on it, Crystal. You were on it. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring on a guest. I'm sure that you're all familiar with this person. And we're going to talk a little bit about an update with Bethany Funke, because she has kind of dominated the news cycle lately, in the Idaho 4 case. And I have a little bit of, I have a graphic that we're going to bring up and discuss. And also, some of my sleuthing team has been working on some things behind the scenes. Something of, relevance in this case is I've been really studying the knife and the search warrants for the knife. And I'm trying to find the connection there. We know that they had a search warrant for Amazon. There was a search warrant for eBay, and there was a search warrant for Walmart. I'll get to that super sticker in a second, Victorine. Thank you so much. But I just want to continue this thought. So I'm kind of looking into that area right now. I have another amazing sleuther in my group that's kind of tracing the cell phone and the cell phone towers and data right now. And I have another sleuther that has been really following kind of the updates on Bethany Funke. So let me bring her on. Let me just recognize this first. So I have a $1.64 super sticker from Victorine. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Let's give her the congratulatory tones. So thank you so much for that. All right, let me bring in Laura, aka Agent Chase. I've dubbed you Agent Chase.
Good evening, Brian. Good evening, opinionated idiots here. Hope everybody's having a great night, and it's about to get better, I believe.
I hope so. Yeah, I think we've been kind of sleuthing this out here. This whole this whole update with Bethany Funke.
I just want to say one thing before we get into Bethany.
Sure.
The body that was found in Monroe County, Pennsylvania, it was a walking distance of 15 minutes from the missing person, Dana Smithers. It's actually 0.3 miles between where the body was found and her home where she was her phone was last seen, and her next door neighbor. So it's a quarter mile. And it's just off of Interstate 80, which would have been the main way to go from, say, Albrightsville, Pennsylvania to Stroudsburg, but that is just a coincidence.
Just a coincidence.
The body was very close, and this is my local news. It's breaking. It just came out this afternoon.
Yeah,
we pray for her family. We pray for her family, that no matter what happens, they get answers in peace.
Absolutely. It's something that, I think going back to when Bryan Kohberger was arrested, obviously knowing, where he was from that area in Pennsylvania, just being Pennsylvania itself, the questions were, has he done this before? Is PA investigating, some cold cases to see if there's any types of connections? And I know that Dana Smithers' name has been brought up a lot around kind of in this circle of Idaho. And, I don't want people to not, I don't want people to just ignore this. If it's not any type of, relation in this, I think it's still, informative to get her information out there, because maybe someone knows something or heard something. Even if Kohberger's not tied to, this or any of this is tied to this, I still think that to raise awareness in this case and get it out there, I don't want to pass, just lightly pass on this. So we'll continue some updates here.
Absolutely.
In her case as well, because, she deserves justice as well. And it's a strange incident. I think what was the last thing that was seen of her was on a ring cam, and she literally vanished into existence. So it's sad. And her family needs answers too.
And I pray for her children and her family. It's horrible. And hopefully she is found safe. And if not, I hope they get their answers.
Absolutely. All right. So let me bring up this graphic. We're going to talk about, recently there has been a lot of speculation as to what's going on with Bethany Funke. There's talks about There was talks about quashing the subpoena. There's talks about her now meeting with lawyers, and there's also talks of, canceling this preliminary hearing and going to a grand jury. Now, I've been reading and seeing some information about possibly and most likely, because the grand jury, from what I understand, is going to be meeting here in a couple of weeks, that they just skip this preliminary hearing, get this interview out of the way right away, and they go right into, just a grand jury. So let's pull up this graphic that Laura worked some time on. It's really great. And I want to show this with everybody, and then you can kind of talk us through this. Let me just enlarge this here and take us through your presentation. This is really great.
So in the past few days, subpoena came out for Bethany Funke to appear at the preliminary hearing on the third day on June 28th. It turns out her attorneys have said, okay, we're going to come to an agreement that we will meet with the defense. Okay. All right. So Bethany's going to have to make the 12-hour drive or catch a flight to meet with the defense, unless it's done, of course, virtually. But she is a distance from Moscow. So why would they go to a grand jury? What's the purpose? I mean, the majority of people that aren't well versed in the legal system are just probably thinking, oh, whatever, So I looked into this, and there's some good reasons that you would go to a grand jury and sticking with the preliminary hearing. And a grand jury is convened in private, which means it's on a docket, but the docket's private, and we won't know it happened until after it has happened. However, they have regular schedulings of grand juries, and they just, it's okay, we'll have a grand jury this day. Which cases are we going to look at, or which cases go which day?
Right.
The first, obvious reason for the prosecution to move to the grand jury would be because this case has such high public interest. I mean, really, it was on the national news, but social media, specifically TikTok,
YouTube,
like everybody started getting on this. I mean, everybody was enamored with how can 4 young, lively college students just be killed in the middle of the night in their home. It's sad. I mean, we all can relate to this in some way, shape, or form. So it really has generated high public interest. So that's one of the reasons that a court system would, or a prosecutor would decide, you know what, we want to get this out of the public. We want to just do it in private and get our answer. Second one would be to test a witness before a jury, meaning putting the witness on the stand essentially and getting their testimony before a jury, before they would go to trial. How will the surviving roommates? How will the Gonsalves family, who I believe has been considered potential witnesses in the case, how will they fare on the stand? What could happen when they are up there? Will they falter? What does their testimony look like? It kind of gives them like a dry run on how it would go. The third big reason would be to avoid the cross-examination by the defense. And then I started thinking, could the reason Bethany Funke agreed to sit with the defense is to avoid the cross-examination during the preliminary hearing? This would be it would be on record, of course, but it wouldn't be in the formal courtroom like a preliminary hearing would. It would be an interview more likely. So that could avoid, I mean, imagine the trauma and stress. Her life has been devastated. Having to meet with them is a lot less pressure than having to be on the stand at a preliminary hearing and being cross-examined by the defense. So that's another really good reason why. I mean, it kind of works hand in hand. She gets to meet with them. Maybe she agreed to meet with them because there is a grand jury convening, and she scheduled them both in the same trip back to Moscow. Maybe her attorneys are, I mean, if there is a grand jury, I'm assuming her attorneys would be privy to that information probably by now. And she could very well say to her, her attorneys could say, why don't we just meet with the defense? The defense wouldn't know about the grand jury. They wouldn't know until after the fact. They would probably know maybe moments before we would know in public, because that would be breaking news. But yeah, so that's another reason why. And the last reason, now this one I really had to look at. This is quite a vocabulary term here. Would be that it involves malfeasance in office. So I took a look at, what does malfeasance mean? Malfeasance is offense of misconduct in office. Misfeasance, which is similar and goes hand in hand with it, is committing a lawful act in a wrongful manner. So I got thinking, all this talk of Brady Giglio, I am not the in-house Brady Giglio expert.
Right.
But could this have to do with an officer that is on the Brady Giglio list for Idaho, but Idaho does not publicize the Brady Giglio list for their state? So they're one of the ones that does not participate in it. Could it have to do with one of the first officers on the scene?
Nunez.
He is on the Brady Giglio list because of some questionable things that happened during something called Stickergate.
Nunez,
yeah. So that also makes sense. That way they can get him, question him. He also is a witness to see, how is he going to fare on the stand? Well, what's going to happen with him? It allows the prosecution to kind of test him out, give him a test drive and see. So, I mean, really, could a grand jury already be on the docket for May for this case?
Yeah, I mean, this makes some really good points. The thing that I go back to, and I just want to go back up to here to the high public interest, and I want to talk a little bit about, just the mainstream media in general. I was seeing a lot of things that they were putting out there, and they were talking about, Bethany Funke, and they would cut just from that document that says she has expulsionary evidence for Bryan Kohberger. Now that's in his favor, but what they failed to put in there is the sentence before that. And from what I understand, and I'm not a legal expert, and I can't remember quite the quote, but it says there is evidence basically for and against. But the media now is putting this narrative out like, and I know what they're doing. It's for clicks and views and for people to, oh, he's going to walk, but you're failing to put in the true language of the document. That's what I understand when I interpret it. And like I said, I'm not a lawyer.
The quote actually, when you break the sentence down, it's Bethany Funke has information material to the charges against BK.
So she's got evidence against basically for the charges, right?
That's for the prosecution. Right. So that is to build the case.
Right.
And it also states that this information is unique to her experiences and cannot be provided by another witness.
Right.
So she obviously has something against him that nobody else has. But then the other part was portions of information she has is exculpatory to Bryan Kohberger. And once again, this information is unique to her experiences and all. So portions of the information is exculpatory. Now, exculpatory doesn't necessarily mean that he didn't do it. It means that it could absolve him of some responsibility, whether he was working with someone else, whether it wasn't premeditated, which I find that hard to believe. But it's not to say that he is not guilty. It's just saying that it's in his favor, whether or not. I mean, it would all go down to a jury eventually in the trial, if which I believe it will go to trial. I mean, right there, I mean, they could say, oh, but you also said this. So the defense is gleaming something that says we have something that will work in Bryan Kohberger's favor, but there's also stuff that works against him.
But I want to make sure this is very, very clear here. All this that we're doing is speculation. Bryan Kohberger is only the suspect in this investigation right now. We know that he's been arrested, but he's also offered due process in our judicial system. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. We have not convicted him, but he is the person of interest and the person being charged in this case.
He is innocent as of right now.
Until proven guilty. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So let me do this. I found an actually very interesting video that kind of follows up with what we're talking about here. I'm going to pull that up really quick. And it was from, I think Brian Enton was standing in for Banfield, and he actually talked with a lawyer that's in the Idaho area. And they actually talk about this as well. And then I want to talk a little bit, if we can, if you have time, to maybe talk a little bit about, what we think is going on. I think that, if you look at the case, and we've talked about this, you look at all the evidence that they have against Bryan Kohberger. I said this, like, I try to take it as a whole pie. Okay. So you have a whole pie in front of you, and there's going to be portions of that pie that's for the prosecution, and there's going to be portions of that pie for the defense. If you basically break it down percentage, I look at it and say there's 95% of evidence right now collected to prosecute Bryan Kohberger, and there's only about 5% right now, if I'm understanding this correctly, that they've put out, which is what Exhibit A and B in his defense. And it took them, like you said, it took them a very, very long time to get this evidence out there. And then lo and behold, all of a sudden it's Bethany Funke. I think it was a scare tactic, or maybe she does know something, but I think it's just a scare tactic and to create a better public image for Bryan Kohberger at this point.
It absolutely could be.
What do you think?
Yeah. Absolutely. It could be. And the one thing that we're forgetting is the only reason we know that Bethany Funke has been, that the defense is anticipating calling her or saying that she has any type of exculpatory evidence that would work to his favor is because she lives in Nevada. The only reason we're privy to her documents is because they had to go out of the state of Idaho. I mean, in my opinion, I believe there is another subpoena from the defense to Dylan because she obviously is a witness. But we don't know that's those missing pieces of the puzzle of the pie. I mean, we don't know, but I think, in my opinion, it would be safe to assume Dylan is probably also being subpoenaed by the defense.
Yeah, this is a good point. Giovanni says, I believe Bethany has a nothing burger. And that's where I think it goes along with that scare tactic. This is scare tactic by the defense to shake things up, to create a better public image of Bryan Kohberger right now in their defense. We know there's been a lot of media, a lot of public scrutiny against him. That I said that right away. I said, I think this might just be a bullshit thing.
It very well could be.
Okay, let's pull up this video from and let's listen to this here. Hang on one second. Okay.
Really, that's the beginning. That's where they
rewind this really quick. Sorry.
The preliminary hearing. Really, that's the beginning. That's where they find probable cause. And then after that is where he would actually plead not guilty or guilty. And then you would have the setting of the trial. So we're still at this very early stages, and it doesn't really.
I want to just answer this really quick. It says, can the defense lie about having exculpatory evidence with Bethany Funke? Well, that would be lying, wouldn't it? Like, they couldn't just make something up. Yeah, that would be.
But if they believe they have it,
sure,
then it wouldn't be a lie.
Yeah, that legal language, if they believe, right?
I mean, if they believe there was something in one of her interviews that led them to believe that would work in his favor, then they can claim that right now as exculpatory evidence.
Right. All right, let's keep playing through this here.
Signify anything to me other than that they are looking at this is a good time to bring in some additional resources.
And I know I'm stopping this again. So there's been 2 deputy attorneys assigned to this case as well. When I look at that, and again, I am not a legal expert, I am just kind of giving my opinion. I feel that they feel the case is very, very strong. And maybe they're adding in these deputy attorneys to kind of lift some of the casework. They're probably overloaded right now. But if they're adding in other attorneys to assist in this, I got to think their case is pretty strong. How do you feel about that, Laura?
Absolutely. I mean, if they're getting 2 attorneys from the Attorney General's office, I mean, they're some of the top state attorneys. It's not that they're asking for help, it's that they're asking for assistance. There's a lot of evidence that has been processed. There's a lot of things to go through. With larger cases such as this, and with all of the electronic sources and look at all the different things they sent out search warrants for. There's a lot to comb through. I would expect that they would need more than one prosecutor to become a master of this. I mean, I think we can all say that, there's certain parts of the case that I know more about. There's certain parts of the case that other people in our Discord chat
Sure.
know about.
Yeah.
And it's great having a whole panel of people like, oh, well, you're working on the GPS coordinates. You're
Yeah.
working on Brady Giglio. You're working on this. That's what the attorneys need. They need more eyes on this because a prosecutor wants it to be a slam dunk. They're not going in there to just wing it. They want to make sure they do this right because once again, they are in the public eye. They were just, some Moscow, Idaho, that Latah County prosecutors, and they're not used to a huge case like this. So they want to make sure they do it right by getting 2 of their best.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, to bring in, two more high-powered attorneys, I feel like they got something big. I think people are going to be like, holy smokes, like just the amount of evidence. And I think that the defense at this point right now, just seeing kind of the motions and what they're doing, I think the defense is backed up against a wall right now. It's just my opinion. It's my opinion. And yeah, it says here, MJC says, yep, nothing burger. And he's using it to harass her or using her not to hear or see anything, counter that DM said. And that might be, I think that's a good point, and I think that might be possible. All right, let's keep playing through this video here.
The preliminary hearing is in June. It seems like they would really have to get these new attorneys up to speed, which, I mean, there's a lot of evidence we know in this case.
Absolutely. They're going to have to come up to speed, and they're probably all going to be working on different aspects of the case in certain ways. As we know, there's a lot of scientific evidence in this case. There's DNA. We know that there were some scientific evidence that was returned from the search warrants. We don't know what the results were, but we can presume that there's going to need to be some laying of the foundation, so to speak, where they bring in experts to testify, to get in that scientific evidence. We know there have been thousands of pages of disclosures, although we don't know what they are. We can at least see that much. So there is going to be a whole lot of evidence, and it's going to be a coordinated effort from all of these attorneys involved, for sure.
Let me ask you this, because I get this question a lot, Jessica, and even one of my prosecutor friends from another state asked me today, why hasn't there been a grand jury? Why not have the grand jury come in? Because it's my understanding, at least in other states, that you then would not have to have the preliminary hearing. Why have we not seen a grand jury in this case?
We may, and I expect that we likely will. I would not be surprised at all if sometime in May they convene that grand jury. The grand juries, at least in Ada County, they convene regularly and every week, every 2 weeks or so. And so I don't know what the time schedule is like up there. It's a smaller county in Latah County, but they're going to convene a grand jury when they can, and then we won't know about it. It will be a surprise if they find probable cause through the grand jury process. So it's very likely, you're right, that sometime in May, they may have a grand jury set to convene, and they may find probable cause. And then that preliminary hearing will just disappear. It'll be vacated and no longer necessary.
Interesting. And just real quick, since we have you here and you understand Idaho law so well, I want to ask you about the development from yesterday about Bethany Funke. They're trying to get her to have to come and testify at the grand jury. She's in Nevada. Can they actually force her with her being out of state?
I do believe they actually can force her to come testify based upon the Idaho law. It's the Idaho law that applies. I know that her attorney cited a lot of the Nevada law, which apparently is a little different than what we have here in Idaho, but I do believe that they can compel her to come testify pursuant to Idaho law at that preliminary hearing, as they have done. I don't think it's going to change the outcome. I know they've stated that they believe that there's something exculpatory there potentially. That's could be very minor. I actually agree with her attorney in the sense that she said this is not a mini trial, and there's no weighing of the evidence regardless of what she has to say. It's going to be a matter of what is the prosecutor presenting, what is their evidence, because all they have to do is show substantial evidence on the elements of the crime, and if they do that, then they've established probable cause regardless of anything that the defendants produces.
And it's so interesting what you say. I haven't thought a lot about it. I mean, if they have this grand jury behind closed doors in secret sometime next month, we may not even, this might be a moot point. We might not even have a preliminary hearing. Jessica Bublitz, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank
What do you think, Laura?
Well, Brian Enton said if they have the grand jury, we might not have the preliminary hearing. If they have the grand jury and they do find that they have probable cause to indict him, we will not have the preliminary hearing. So if they do have one, I mean, at this point, May is Monday.
Yeah.
So you know, we're 7 weeks out from the preliminary hearing. If they're going to do it, it's going to be soon. The only unfortunate thing, and I think everybody would agree, is that if this happens, we won't have any more answers because it will all be done in secret. We won't hear much about what would be presented at the preliminary hearing. So just like Alien Dog said, you better hope there's more evidence, because what they got now, he's skipping to freedom. We don't know what they have now, but I believe we can safely assume they have a lot, and we just don't know because everything is sealed.
Yeah,
We can only infer from what the documents are and just connecting all the puzzle pieces together. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I think, no, I always go back to this. What was it? First reported, it was either 103, 105 pieces of evidence taken from the King Road house, over 4,000 photos and digital scans of the King Road house. You know, this is the thing I think people miss in all of this. You have digital forensics they're going to go through. They have cell phone records they're going to go through. They have cell phone locations they're going to go through. They're looking at bank account information. I've been kind of going over the search warrants for Amazon, Walmart, and eBay where those knives were purchased or potentially purchased. So you have that. You have all of the evidence that was collected at his BK's apartment. You have all the evidence that was collected at his parents' apartment. And I will say this: what was the first item that was collected at his parents' house? What was it listed as? Yeah, knife.
Just knife.
We don't know what it is, but it could be. It could be the knife. I mean, here's a logical explanation of this too. Let's say you have a crime in one state and you're that person that committed that crime, and you're getting ready, you know, in a couple of weeks to go somewhere all the way across the country. Wouldn't you probably take some of that stuff and try to get rid of it somewhere else? I mean, just a thought.
100%.
Just the thought. So I think there's a lot. I think there's a ton of evidence. I was reading through, just refreshing on some of the search warrants today too. The UPS search warrant. They're looking for video of any truck that was in and around the Moscow, Idaho area that had a front-facing camera during a certain, a certain timeline, 11/6 through 11/14. So that leads me to believe they may have that white Hyundai Elantra on camera. They may have that white Hyundai Elantra between that week driving around in and around King Road. You don't know. You know, there's a lot of things that are there. And I always say this: the evidence is there. You just have to sort through it and connect the dots. And that's something we've kind of been working on. So, what do you think? Where you think we skip this? You think it skips the preliminary hearing and just goes right to the grand jury?
Yes. I would say that we are going to be surprised some late afternoon, some early evening that breaking news, Brian Enton's going to come on and say they reached a verdict in the grand jury and, that they're going to, I mean, probable cause. Probable
Mhm.
cause is just that there's more evidence to show he did it than they would think he didn't do it. I believe right now they just have to look for like a preponderance of the evidence. Do we have enough to even take it to trial? Based upon the number of pages of data, results from the search warrants, I would think that they have something.
So I just wanted to show this to kind of counteract or just bring up, someone was talking about this in the chat. So any and all videos that were recorded and stored on a delivery truck that were in Moscow, Idaho, between the dates of November 6th, 2022 through November 14th of 2022. They want the video from those UPS drivers. So it could put someone in a certain location. It could put someone at a certain residence, or maybe somewhere where something was purchased. So there's a reason for that. So it is Moscow, Idaho. It's not Pullman. So I just wanted to kind of correct that. I've been on this. I've been looking through this, and I know that I've been kind of saying that to you. Hey, I think there's something there. I think there's something there with these deliveries and this knife. The knife thing is, I'm trying to connect the dots there. Did I lose you?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, and if anybody's thinking like, well, why didn't they move to a grand jury earlier? Like last month, February, January, it's taken them a while to really go through all of this evidence. I mean, I don't even know, but when you look at the court summary, you print out the court summary, it is, I can tell you right now, I have it printed, 10 pages. 10 pages, of which a good portion of that are the warrants. And we only see the tip of the iceberg with the warrants. We don't get to see what the results were, what they found, who they found it on, what exactly they're looking for. The redactions make it difficult to know exactly what and who they were looking at. The only thing we can know for certain is the names that were mentioned in the warrants are those that are deceased, the 4 victims. Anybody who is still alive has their privacy protected, and therefore their names would be redacted. And in some of the warrants, there's 5 names redacted. And that's
speculation on that.
I mean, I think, when the case first, it all blew up over the news, social media.
Right.
We always think of the significant other.
Right.
That's typically your number one suspect when you have, a brutal crime like this. So of course they were looking at the boyfriends and ex-boyfriends of the victims of, particularly Kaylee and Maddie, because Kaylee had an ex-boyfriend that she still spoke with.
Right.
And Maddie had a boyfriend that she was with for about 18 months. Obviously, Ethan and Xana were each other's. And then there were the surviving roommates. They also wanted to paint the picture of what they were doing. So you have those two. So you have Jack DeCour, Jake Schreiger, you have Dylan, you have Bethany, it could be. You have the Gonsalves family.
Right.
You have the roommate that is on the lease that I guess wasn't living there. Whether or not she would have any link to any of this. You also
listen, I'm just going off with Steve. I think he was pretty clear, like that person wasn't even around. So it's just kind of an afterthought.
Yeah. But I mean, on paper, she was literally on paper, she was mentioned.
Right.
I can't even think of her name. She's talked about so little.
Right.
So, I mean, there's quite a lot of people that they could have been looking into. Not necessarily a suspect, but looking into the what, why, where, when, how, what were they up to? The financial records were all asked for a warrant. There's a whole bunch of people in their circles that they had to look at, of course. And then at some point in the investigation, one of those names redacted had to have been Bryan Kohberger, because they had to find information about him and see what was going on with him. So yeah, so there's quite a few names that these redacted names could be, as well as the phone numbers, the email addresses that are referred to. And yes, it's all speculation. I mean, we don't know for sure yet. I know it was mentioned in the chat. We just can't wait for everything to be unsealed and see all of this. And I know it's going to be like Christmas morning for all of us here.
Yeah, we're gonna be like,
probably better than Christmas morning. I think a lot of you would attest to that.
yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a lot. I just think it takes a lot of time to go through. That's why they have, I think I counted just 6 Moscow police officers on the case, at least 6. Lawrence Mowry seems to be the detective that does a lot of the e-filings and the more of the computer search warrant and like the more tech stuff. And then you have the FBI involved, and you have
a dozen or so FBI agents from what I remember.
Yeah, I don't even remember how many, but it was numerous. So if you have that many people investigating and there's something, we don't know exactly what it is. Like Bryan said, it's a lot of speculation, but I don't think they're going to come up with nothing. We can argue the touch DNA all night, but it's still DNA and it's still got linked to him. And that's not what we're here to do, to argue that tonight.
Right.
But there's a lot. There's a lot, and I certainly hope they have some good stuff.
And that's why I think like it's that's why I think when people talk about like conspiracies and it's this and it's that and it's aliens and drugs and they were doing making porn movies out of the house and all that. I just or it's a setup and it's law enforcement's involved, and something like that would be the biggest mass conspiracy of like all time. I think there would just be way too many, what do they say, hands in the cookie jar, and something would spill out.
Yeah, and a good deal of the crimes and unsolved crimes, and the ones they've solved, it's Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is often the explanation.
Right.
I think we look really deep into this, but a lot of it is on the surface. And yeah, I think we can all agree that we can't wait for everything to be redacted and come out. So then we can come back on here and say, we had this, we were right, we were wrong, or wow, or yeah, I think we can all agree with that.
All right, let me pause here real quick. I just want to pump the chat a little bit. If you guys get me 9 more likes in the chat room, I'm going to gift away a free membership. So just please go down there and smash the like button. Smash. I would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. So let me ask you about this Agent Chase. What do you think about, all, like I was talking about before, this kind of, like I said, that pie. You have 95% of the evidence that looks like it's pretty much, for the prosecution, and that 5%, the 2 exhibits that were put out there by the defense. Let me ask you, why do you think only 2, and why do you think it took them so long to get it out there?
Well, we have to remember that everything the prosecution has, they have to turn over to the defense, and they have. They have to. If obviously they don't have anybody, there's nobody coming out and saying Bryan was with me.
Right.
We know what Exhibit A is. Exhibit A, the first thing that the defense has to do with Bethany Funke. And the hold on, I gotta plug in my laptop.
Yeah, take your time. When you do that, why don't you do this? Let me just pause for a second. I'm gonna gift away a membership here, a free membership. Let's do it. Let's give a free membership away. This membership will be for a month. And then if you want to re-up after the month, you are welcome to do that. So I have gifted away a membership to, Let's see. MJC is now a channel member, and you know that we do the
Steven.
We can get Steven in there. So I'm sorry. We were talking about.
So Exhibit A. If you're questioning how do we know Exhibit A has to do with Bethany Funke, when you look at the,
let me bring up the document itself.
Yeah, the quashed subpoena. It was the last page. It's the affidavit in support of motion for out-of-state service.
Is it?
This is the one where Richard Bethany, who is the
petition for appointment. I'm sorry.
Petition for appointment.
Yeah, let me see. I'll just bring it up and tell me if this is the right document or not. If not, I'll grab the other one.
How many pages is the one you're looking at?
3.
Go to the last page. Okay. This is the one where it has the 1 through 12 about Bethany.
Okay, hang on one second. Then it's not. Let me grab this one. I only see 2 documents in this one. Okay, where is the other one? State's response. No, petition for appointment for special assistant attorney. Or appointing. I might not have them. Let me see. Hang on one second.
These are not on the Idaho website because they're the Nevada documents.
I might not have them saved. Hang on. Let me just look. I might have it in my Idaho file. I should have it. Jeez. What's this? Nope. That's work related stuff. I can't show any of that. Excuse me. Let me see if I can find it real quick on the old. If anybody has the documents,
I have it.
Okay, could you drop it or in the private chat, and I'll bring it up.
Let me just find them here.
Take your time, no problem. Thank everybody for hanging out with us. We have over 210 people watching this evening. Chat is really great. And if you just take a minute, there's 200 people watching. If you just smash that like button down below, it's free. It's free to do it. Let's get a little music. Okay. Yep. I'm gonna throw it in the private chat. I can bring it up. Let's do a little music while we wait.
Tell me if this works for you.
Nope, says you need access.
You have access. Maybe not. No. Here, you'll have access.
Let me see if I can Google it.
Hold on, right now you have access.
Okay, hang on one second. It's saying request access. Request sent.
Okay, try refreshing it.
Yep. Aha! We got it. All right, let me stop my music. That's our what do they call that? Like elevator music. All right, let's take a look at this. Tell me what page you want me to go through here.
The next to the last page.
Got it. So page 9.
Oh, you know what? Let's scroll back up.
Yep.
Right. Keep going up. One more. Right. One more up. This right here. I cannot read that on my.
I'll bring it up. Let me.
I have it on paper.
Is that better for the chat? I got it.
Need my own little briefcase for all of these papers. Okay, so this is the index of exhibits that the defense submitted. The first one was the certificate of an Idaho judge to secure the attendance of an out-of-state witness. So if you scroll down to the next page,
it says Exhibit A or Exhibit 1.
This is just a title page. This is not redacted.
Right.
In fact, technically, you should have put something on here that says this page is left intentionally blank for that. But this is just a page holder.
Can I ask you a question before you go on? What makes you believe that is just a placeholder?
Because of the table of contents in the one with the 1, 2, and 3.
You can see. I know a lot of people are like there's text. I think because you can see the page was clearly flipped.
It was, yeah, they were laying them face down on a copier, and if you've ever done that, it'll pick up the other pages.
Right.
Trust me, I went through here, and I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
you did.
this is just a title page. So that I just want to say, Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, and Exhibit 3, those pages are just title pages to tell you what you're looking at. So if we go to Exhibit 3, which is the next to the last page.
Sure. That's Exhibit 2. Yeah, and you can see that it's almost here too. It's just the reverse of the document. I just want to point that out to everybody. You can see it kind of. Yeah. It's not redacted. So let's clear that rumor up.
I know that went around.
It was going around.
But right. No. So Exhibit 3 we go into, and that is the affidavit in support of motion for out-of-state service. This here is Richard Bethany, first duly sworn upon oath, deposes and says. So this is the investigator who looked at all of the interviews with the witnesses and said, here is what my summary is. Here is what I believe we have in this. Now, he doesn't have to say exactly what it is. He just has to say what he believes is it, because that would be their entire argument. And then we turn to the next. Well, we look at the bottom right.
Here's Exhibit A.
Little stamp says Defendant's Exhibit number A.
Right.
And it has the case number. So that is how we know that is what their Exhibit A is. This deposition of Richard Bethany, the private investigator that works with the public defender for Latah County. That is what that guy does. Like I was saying to somebody, it's like in Blue Bloods, where you have the investigator that works for Aaron. So she's a district attorney, I believe. So yeah, so that's his job. His job is for Ann Taylor to say, go read all this.
Let me just answer this real quick. So Manny Joe's asking what's redacted. There was a rumor that when these documents came out and it was being put out there, that all of this here, like this, Exhibit 3 here, and all this on the back, all this information in between this void was all blanked over or redacted. It's not. It's a reverse thought. It's the reverse side of the document. It's a title holder for that specific document. So that was never redacted.
So this is the first thing that the defense said. Exhibit A.
You have that Exhibit A right here.
And that was submitted back to the prosecution. I can give you the date on that. Oh, boy.
And if anybody wants to follow along, and I just want to point this out at the top of the document, the CR 2922, that number is the case file number. That's the master number that everything will be filed under in this case. Because a lot of people are probably like, what is that big number? That is the master file number that everything will be filed under.
Okay, so where were we? Okay, so that is, I have the date right here.
Can I just read this really quick?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so I want to just go through really quick here. So I'm going to look at, let's take it from, we can just skim through this really quick. I'm sure people have read through this. Let's go here. So number 7, Bethany Funke's bedroom was on the first floor. Number 8, the other surviving roommates' bedrooms were on the second floor. Number 9, Bethany Funke was interviewed by police on several occasions. So she's given several interviews, and I think it's pretty interesting as well too. So it wasn't like a one or a two things. It seems like there was quite a few times that that law enforcement or the FBI did talk to her. She disclosed things she heard and things she saw. Bethany Funke was present at the home 8 hours later when police were called, arrived on scene, and discovered the homicides. And again, the million-dollar question right now is, what's on the 911 call? Because we haven't heard anything, and I think there's some pretty telling information on that 911 call.
Okay, so yeah, that was entered into court beginning of February. Beginning of February.
Okay.
And then So then, well, they had when all the search warrants would come back, the prosecution would have to give that to them. And then on the end of March, the 24th, I believe, is when they said, okay, we have something else here. And so that would be their Exhibit B.
Mm-hmm.
I have too many tabs brought up to pull more details, but we don't know what Exhibit B is. That's
Exhibit 2, right?
Well, with the defense, it would be the letters.
Oh, yeah,
and the
Exhibit B,
prosecution would be the numbers.
Right.
So Exhibit A is from the defense. That's our first
Right.
one. Exhibit B is the one we don't know.
Don't have.
What could it be?
What's that million-dollar question?
We could probably have a whole live about speculating what Exhibit B could be, but it could be anything that this Richard Bethany, got from any of the documents that the prosecution has, any of their evidence. So he could take something of theirs and, find something like he believes they have something to work for them regarding Bethany.
Mm-hmm.
It could very well be something from Dylan. It could be something from a search warrant. It could be a bank record. We don't know.
Mm-hmm. How about the disclosure of the 911 call?
It very well could be. He could have something
statements
based upon me viewing the 911 call. And he could have a whole little deposition written that they're planning to use the 911 call.
Right.
It could be anything.
It's such a mystery. It's just like, what the hell's going on? I just want to know.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally have sleepless nights over this. I literally had a nightmare last night over this. I literally had a nightmare. I'm gonna admit to that on air right now. I had a nightmare that someone snuck into my house and was going to stab me. Like, this is how much this is getting to me. And this is how much I'm invested in it. And I'm sure everybody's having kind of these feelings. I mean, I know that, we talk and, in the chat and stuff, and you're like, I just want to do more research on this. I want to try to figure out and connect the dots. And we're working on, I don't want to spoil it, but we're working on actually a big project of kind of connecting the dots. And, we should have that pretty much ready soon too. So I don't know. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, waiting to see if this preliminary hearing is going to happen or if this just goes right to grand jury. I'm feeling it's just going to go right to the grand jury.
Yeah. And Mandy Joe brought up a good point. Rich Bethany does not work for the public defender's office. He costs extra. Yeah, he's working, I should have said, with them.
Sure.
He's one of their guys that they call when they need this stuff.
Yeah.
So he's not just some guy off the street or anything. He's somebody that they have signed on for this case.
What was I going to ask you? So you sent me a video earlier of JLR, a video that he did, about 3 or 4 months ago, you said?
I believe it was 2 months ago.
And it's pretty interesting, some of the things that he said on there. And I know that you and I have talked about that. Let's bring this up a little bit and play through it. Do you have time to sit a little bit longer?
Yeah. It was February 16th. He produced this.
Cool. Let's play this. I think there's some interesting information in this. Hang on one second. So the title of it is Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funke, Friends or Foes. And now look I know that everybody has their opinions on JLR, but I think he does have some interesting things here that he brings up. And let's play that.
Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am covering the Moscow, Idaho case. I titled this video, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funke, Friends or Foes? Friends or foes? I am wondering if Dylan and Bethany are cool with one another right now. Are they friends? Were they ever friends to begin with? I'm assuming they were, because I do have photographs of them together taking pictures and hanging out. They posted their own pictures on social media accounts before both their accounts went private. I'm going to show you a few of their pictures of them together. So I'm assuming they were friends. But some people take pics with people they're not actually friends with. They just take pics with other people. But assuming they are friends at the time before the stabbings occurred, 4 college students brutally stabbed November 13th.
And what I want to say is that, you know, it's interesting that this video was back in February, and I think it's, you know, in present day has a lot to do with a lot how we're all thinking right now in this case. And it's very interesting that he brought this up a couple of months ago.
Dylan Mortensen, Bethany Funke, the surviving roommates. Now, I'm wondering if they're cool
Definitely
right
is a
now,
character,
because we haven't heard a peep from them. Both have been silent. I am just wondering, well, what Bethany thinks of Dylan, considering that there is a lot of online chatter and online rumor and speculation on Reddit threads and different forums saying that Bethany is ticked off because she was lied to by Dylan about what happened that day. Dylan told Bethany a different story that is totally different than what was in the affidavit of probable cause, where Dylan Mortensen saw Bryan Kohberger or saw a man in a mask, bushy eyebrows, frozen, went inside, locked the door, or whatnot. Is Dylan cool with Bethany? Are they still BFFs? Were they ever BFFs? And I'm wondering, do you think if they're not, what's the reason? Do you think that this event maybe broken up their friendship, if they even had a friendship? Possible. What do you think Bethany thinks about Dylan, based off Bethany knowing now because of the affidavit of probable cause? Have they communicated with one another?
Me too.
That's what I'm wondering about. They're both going to have to eventually, down the line, most likely testify in this case. Are they talking to one another, strategizing what they're going to say or, you know, do when the court case comes? That's what I'm wondering.
The video's lagging. I'm sorry. I have no idea why it's lagging up there.
Dylan Mortensen is a mystery. Now, Dylan Mortensen gets a lot more.
It's really lagging. I'm
than
sorry,
Bethany
guys.
when it comes to this case. Bethany, people talk about Bethany, but it's more centered towards Dylan than Bethany. Do you think Bethany will ever want to even be around Dylan Mortensen again, even seen with her, knowing that
I don't know why this is playback is very laggy. Let me see if I can try to
people
restart.
are more critical of Dylan than they are Bethany? Like, the cameras are going to be on Bethany or on Dylan more than Bethany, and Bethany hanging out with Dylan, would that be a bad? Will Bethany think that's a bad reflection on Dylan? Now let's do vice versa. Does Dylan have a problem with Bethany? Maybe Dylan feeling, if they're not cool, maybe Dylan's feeling that Bethany abandoned her, like, you know, turned her back on her during these times where Dylan really needs her closest friends. I don't know how close they were. They both got into that house, the Moscow home, fairly recently. I know other people were talking about Dylan being a freshman, but I'm wondering if they are still cool or not, or are they going to be beefing? Is one of them going to come out and talk about the other, or talk about what transpired? We have limited information, but that I'm curious about that on a daily basis, if they're still cool. And if you're following the case, I think it's relevant. I think it's relevant because if Bethany has a problem with Dylan, what would that problem be and why? And it has anything to do with Dylan's behavior that early morning. Like, does Bethany maybe think that Dylan could have should have called authorities quicker and could have saved her friends inside the home. You understand? They're all a group of friends, but we haven't, like, there's no pictures of Dylan or Bethany together in support of one another during this tragedy, after this tragedy happened, like maybe hugging or showing solidarity with one another, saying, hey, we're sisters for life. Or are they just going to both of them go their separate ways? Both of them even going to finish school at the University of Idaho? Or are they going to transfer? As far as Dylan, I don't know if Dylan could even see. I'm assuming she's taking online courses now, because journalists are out there in Moscow and no one has taken any photos of Dylan Mortensen at school or whatnot. I'm assuming she is taking online courses and eventually probably will transfer. She lives somewhere down by the Boise area originally. I can't see her continuing to go to that school full time. Maybe online courses for the remaining of the year and then transfer for sure, because her face. The thing about Dylan is, what I'm noticing over online is there's not a lot of vandals, the mascot vandal at University of Idaho support for Dylan. I'm not seeing like the college students rallying behind her, like she's a victim, even though she is a victim. But some people say, well, she's a survivor, not necessarily a victim. So I don't see the support for Bethany either, and Bethany is originally from Reno. Is she going to continue would they even want to go back to that school? Would they even want to go back to college? As far as staying on campus anywhere, or a sorority house, or a house. I mean, regardless of how you feel about Dylan or Bethany, they're both pretty traumatized, most likely. If I was in a home like that and I was in that situation, yeah, I would have called 911 instantly, but I'm not Bethany, or I'm not Dylan. But I would be rattled for life if I knew I was almost died and the people around me died from some stranger coming into the home. But there's people out there that think Dylan might have knew Bryan. I haven't found any evidence of that. I'm just throwing it out there on video because it is talked about that. Did Dylan know Bryan, or did Bethany know Bryan? And then there's
really interesting points, because I think I think a lot of this has been brought up, and I think it's a lot of how people are feeling right now, knowing all of the new documents that have come out. I mean, I know we've talked about that in the Discord group, in the Hangout, and even some of us just through like private chat talking about it. We're just trying to make those connections, and it's funny that he put this video up, almost 3 months ago now. And I think he has a lot of great points, and that's why I wanted to kind of play through this video. We have a couple of more minutes of video. I apologize about the lag in the video. I have no idea what's going on, but we'll continue and finish this up in a second.
There's a lot of speculation online on why Dylan delayed to call the authorities, like why, and she didn't call authorities. I believe a neighbor called the authorities. I don't believe Dylan is the one that called 911. I believe she and Bethany are either or one of the two people that fainted that next day where the 911 call was, so someone else did. But the delay of the call, people speculate, Dylan or Bethany had illegal narcotics, drugs, or alcohol, or stuff they shouldn't have had in that house, and they had to get rid of it. And I'm saying this because other people are saying it too. So don't think I'm just making things up, because I'm not saying it's true or not. I'm just saying what the online speculation, the tone of this case, the temperature of the Idaho 4. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of content you can decipher through and come up to your own conclusions. But I kind of study like how these people, like I want to know, I'm interested in seeing things like Dylan standing side by side with some of the victims' family members, because that gives me a general idea if they either support her or not, or Bethany side by side with Ethan Chapin's mom, Stacy, or Xana's dad Jeffrey? Will Dylan be walking in and out of courthouse with Bryan Kohberger, or on Bryan Kohberger's case with Kaylee Gonzalez's family? The Gonzalez family. Will she be walking with him? Or being there at court? Side by side. I wonder about those type of things. I look beyond look deeper into this case, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do that too. So that's the question. Do you think Dylan Mortensen or Bethany Funke are friends or foes? Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button. I want to know your thoughts. And I appreciate all of the comments on my video.
All right, I'm going to end that there. All right. Well, thank you, T-Rocks. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Laura, what do you think? I don't know if you're still there.
I think sorority sisters.
Now, this is all just
conjecture,
just speculating, allegedly.
Sorority sisters, it could go either way. They could have each other's backs 100%, or as teenage girls and girls in their early 20s, they could turn on each other. Only time will tell to see what really is said. But what their friendship is now, what it really was, because they all take pictures with each other. That doesn't mean that they really like each other. I mean, that age, they're constantly snapping photos, constantly, if they were roommates, of course, they, just because of being near each other quite a lot, they might have more pictures. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is, Christine. Yes. It is Laura, aka Agent Chase, and I have to say, you are a hell of a researcher. You come up with some really great points. You're very good at sorting information. I'll throw a whole bunch of information at you. You'd be like, all right, let me just sort this out. So you've been I call you kind of my woman on the street.
Thank you. I think.
And yeah, we have a project that's ongoing. I think it's going to be really cool when we can get it out there, and it'll probably be in the next couple of shows. I'm going to do just kind of I hate to end the stream. We have 235 people watching. Maybe we'll hang out here for a couple more minutes. You know what I actually do have? I have another quick clip of just reporting on, basically the subpoena that's come up just recently. I'll play that. It's a short clip, and from Court TV. And then maybe we'll wrap this stream up tonight. Let me just grab this real quick. Here we go. Let's play this one. Hopefully it won't lag.
Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Lake Chalk County, state of Idaho, did unlawfully enter a residence with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder. The maximum penalty for this offense is death or imprisonment for life.
It's obviously an emotional time for the family seeing the defendant for the first time.
It's usually pretty quiet. We usually don't have anything like this going on in this Poconos. It's just surprising that, we shop, we go to the stores here, and this person was among us.
We've got a big development in the Idaho student's murder case tonight, and it involves the preliminary hearing, which is scheduled for the end of June. This is the hearing where the prosecution has to put up enough evidence to demonstrate probable cause to a judge to bind this case over for a trial. Now, in the state of Idaho, the defense is permitted. They may present witnesses on their behalf, and they want to. And one of the witnesses that they want to call is one of the surviving roommates. Take a look. This was a motion. Bryan, the killer, the accused killer, Bryan through his attorney, Ann C. Taylor.
Yeah, dude, you can't. The killer, you can't say that, man. He's accused.
Defender moves this court for a certificate to assist in securing the attendance of Bethany Funke as a witness on behalf of the defendant in this case. During the course of my investigation it became known to me that Bethany Funke has information material to the charges against the accused killer. Portions of the information Ms. Funke has is exculpatory to the defendant. Ms. Funke's information is unique to her experiences and cannot be provided by another witness. Bethany Funke resides in the state of Nevada and is necessary to subpoena this witness because the witness's testimony is material and necessary to the state. Wow. So what is it what is the information that is exculpatory to?
See, and this is my point, and that's why I wanted to play this, Laura, was see how they keep jumping on the exculpatory evidence, but they don't talk about the preference to that, where they're saying that basically they have evidence for and against. And that's why I talk about, like, these mainstream medias will jump up, you know, and they'll just start going on like the next big, like, oh, he could get out, you know, oh, you know, for like clicks and views, but they're not telling the whole story.
No, they're being very selective.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have to remember that only a portion, I believe that's the exact wording.
Right.
A portion is exculpatory.
Right. Let's play this out, and then we're going to wrap this puppy up.
The defendant that one of the roommates has, or at least the defense believes they have. Well, she doesn't want to testify. She has an attorney fighting this subpoena. Take a look. This affidavit in support of motion for out-of-state service claims that Ms. Funke has information. Excuse me? Yeah, Ms. Funke has is exculpatory to the defendant. These statements are conclusory, without support, and there's no further information or detail pertaining to the substance of the testimony, its materiality, or the alleged exculpatory information of Ms. Funke, or why it would be entertained at a preliminary hearing. There is no authority for an Idaho criminal defendant to summon a Nevada witness to an Idaho matter without a hearing. And there's no authority to summon a Nevada witness to an Idaho matter without a Nevada judge making a finding of materiality, necessity, and the lack of undue hardship. As this court is well aware, a preliminary hearing is limited to a finding of probable cause rather than reasonable doubt, which is the evidentiary burden at trial. Even if Ms. Funke possesses exculpatory evidence, which remains unknown, there is no place or reason to present that evidence at a preliminary hearing. A preliminary hearing requires the state to offer competent evidence to support probable cause and convince the magistrate that a trial should be held, not the issue of innocence or guilt of the defendant. What's going to happen here? How significant is this development? Let's bring back in our think tank, Ann Bremner, Rick King, and the professor, Michael Sterling. Michael, what are your thoughts here? So they're trying to get the defense. This is unusual, right? The defense is
like the perfectly placed flowers. Oh boy.
Trying to subpoena an out-of-state witness with exculpatory evidence for the prelim.
Yeah, I mean, and typically, just for the audience's purposes, preliminary hearings are very limited in scope. There's a lot of hearsay that's allowed, things that happen at preliminary hearings. Oftentimes, they're waived by defense attorneys, and you just, you waive them and you enter a plea. You just sort of accept that it's going to be a probable cause finding. And so to the extent that she has exculpatory information, I disagree with Ms. Funke's attorney. To the degree she has exculpatory information, it could be material to a preliminary hearing if it negates the probable cause finding. So if there is some evidence or some information which we all know that Ms. Funke was one of the key eyewitnesses who came face to face with the killer and who described having very...
That's not true. That's not true. He just said that she came face to face with the killer. No, she didn't.
Do you want to rewind that just for a moment?
That's not true.
Defense attorneys, and you just, you waive them and you enter a plea. You just sort of accept that it's going to be a probable cause finding. And so to the extent that she has exculpatory information, I disagree with Ms. Funke's attorney. To the degree she has exculpatory information, it could be material to a preliminary hearing if it negates the probable cause finding. So if there is some evidence or some information which we all know that Ms. Funke was one of the key eyewitnesses who came face to face with the killer.
He said if.
He said if. Are you sure?
Go back like.
I'm gonna go back.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. All right, let's hear this. Let's listen, because I'm hearing something different. Hang on.
So if there is some evidence or some information which we all know that Ms. Funke was one of the key eyewitnesses who came face to face with.
Miss Funke was one of the key eyewitnesses that came face to face. That's wrong.
Ugh.
That's false information.
It is.
Yeah. See, I think a lot of times, though, too, they just have these lawyers jump on and they're really not following the case that much. And they probably just give a brief summary and say, here, this is what's going on.
Yeah, they just want the clout, too.
Yeah, that's wrong, but that's false information. And you know, Court TV should go back and redact and make a correction on that, because that's not true. I'm going to play that out one more time. I'm kind of bothered by that. All right, let's play this.
We agree she has exculpatory information. It could be material to a preliminary hearing if it negates the probable cause finding. So if there is some evidence or some information which we all know that Ms. Funke was one of the key eyewitnesses who came face to face with the killer and who had a very detailed description of what the killer looked like. If she has information that is exculpatory and could negate the finding of probable cause, then her testimony at prelim could be material, and she could be ultimately summoned to court.
Rick King, how big of a development is this? I hear the words exculpatory, and as a former prosecutor, I always get palms get a little sweaty at that moment, right? That's a powerful word.
Exculpatory is a powerful word, and we don't have those type of hearings here. But I actually agree with the professor in the sense that, and I say that with respect and admiration. I agree that if there's some evidence that appears to be exculpatory and it somehow undermines the presence of probable cause, I think it would be admissible and necessary for them to present it at this hearing. What I don't understand, or what I think is problematic, is that if they filed a motion to get her there and they talk about this information that she has, why didn't they put it in their motion so that the judge could make a ruling to understand exactly what they had? And I think that's what's problematic.
They're a little bit vague about what this exculpatory evidence is. And Bremner, do you think that's because it maybe doesn't exist, or are they like they want to surprise someone with it? I don't understand why you don't lay out what this potentially exculpatory evidence actually is.
Well, exactly. I mean, is it in recognition versus description? I mean, has she looked at a montage or lineup of, could she identify him? We don't know.
Flowers are killing me right now. It's so perfectly placed.
Any of those things. The other thing is on bringing her here. I mean, bringing her to Idaho. I mean, they've got a lot of arguments to make that she would be, it would be unduly burdensome to her, to go to a different state. But look at all the publicity and everything else for her to have to come in and testify on his behalf in a case where all of her best friends were murdered, and when they're not even, it's a completely vanilla, declaration. It doesn't have any information. Does she even know what the information is that they're going to try and elicit from her? I did represent a witness once who I resisted going to another state in a criminal case, and we went through a full hearing. I mean, she was feeling threatened by the guy that wanted to bring her to court, and we basically gave all of the crazy letters that he wrote to her and the kind of threatening verbiage and things he wrote to her before a judge up here in Seattle, and she did not have to go to Oregon to testify. And so I kind of look at it like that. I mean, she's got, I think, a good lawyer, and I think she should resist it unless there's something she can really add to the defense, which she probably doesn't want to do.
No, she doesn't want to do it. Well, we shall see how all this is going to play out, because this is significant. It looks like the defense is not thrown in the towel at all. They're fighting this at the preliminary hearing stage. Take a look, folks. It's all happening June 26th, Idaho versus the accused killer. Of course, wall-to-wall, gavel-to-gavel coverage right here on your front row seat to justice.
All right. Well, I think it's about time that we wrap this one up. I think we got a lot of really good, valid information out there. Special Agent Chase, you did a amazing job in your research and presentation. So I want to appreciate you jumping on the panel with me and hanging out this evening.
Oh, thank you, Bryan. It was a pleasure. At
Yeah,
least
we'll do this.
research
Go ahead.
can go to good use.
What's that?
My research can go to good use.
Yeah, we'll definitely do this again. Again, I appreciate everybody. Look, if anybody wants to join the Discord group, you can. All you need to do is go down and hit the join button there below. You can join my memberships that start at $1.99 a month. That'll get you in the Discord group. You just got to go over to the community tab on my homepage. You'll see the link. It's just out there for members only, and you can jump in there. Everybody's liking the live this evening. Special Agent Chase. They are loving the live. We're getting a lot of really great compliments here. Rap party, and yes, this is going to continue backstage after the stream is over. In the group, we're going to be chatting. We're going to be hanging out. So you guys are missing out. If you want to join, like I said, join down below. And join our membership group. We'll get you in there and hang out. We have some really great conversations in there. If you're first time over here on the channel, please make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this live stream this evening. And the best thing that you can do is always smash the like button, because that helps get this channel out into that nasty algorithm that doesn't seem to like to push my channel. And I think we have some really great, straightforward content here on this channel. We make really great evidence research. We give great opinions. We keep things fair, and we stick to the facts. That's what we do here. We stick to the facts. So I want to thank everybody this evening for hanging out in the chat. Again, Laura, aka Special Agent Chase, thank you so much for joining the panel. And we're gonna have Laura back. I'd love to have her back on here, and we'll do this again. So everybody, thank you so much. Please make sure, again, to smash that like button. I would appreciate it. And we'll be back. I'm going to be back actually Saturday night. We're going to do a Saturday night stream. So come join Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be back here. We'll hang out. We'll do a longer stream on Saturday. And, we'll get through some topics there too. So thank you, everybody. I'm the Opinionated Idiot. Again, I hope everybody returns for the next live show, and I'll see you in the future. Bye.